Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Haylou GT1. These are super budget TWS wireless earbuds that sell for under $20, so really inexpensive, and this is also branded on some sites as the Xiaomi Haylou GT1. So I believe that Haylou is also affiliated with Xiaomi, similar to Amazfit's relationship with Xiaomi for their wearables. But anyways, the GT1s are even cheaper than Xiaomi's own Redmi AirDots, which we checked out a few months back, and these were really popular budget buds. These sell for about $29, but again, the GT1s are only 19 bucks, but they are smaller than the Redmi AirDots, so they're more compact. It also has a slight upgrade in the sense that instead of relying on physical buttons, like the Redmi AirDots where you have to press down on, exerting more pressure when you are wearing them, that made them a little bit uncomfortable for tapping. These offer touch controls. Otherwise, the battery life here is going to be a little bit shorter than the Redmi AirDots. In fact, they last for around 4 hours on a single charge. The battery case provides an additional 4 chargers when on the road. They have 7.2mm drivers, which are slightly larger than the Redmi AirDots. And again, it has a Realtek chip, just like on the Redmi AirDots, which means it supports SBC for the audio codec and AAC on Apple products, but it does not support Qualcomm's aptX, which means that it's not going to have the lowest latency, but again, at the price of only $19, it actually is still a very promising value. There is a protective sheath on top. So the buds themselves inside, again, completely round, very similar aesthetic to the Redmi AirDots. There is a sticker that we can peel off to start the charging. The contacts can then touch the battery case, and then after it touches it, you can see there is a red LED. Other packaging accessories include a quick user manual. There's a charging cable which is using micro USB, so not quite USB Type-C, which I would like to see, but again, $19, it's forgivable. There's also spare silicone tips to get a more comfortable fit. So taking a closer look at the design, I do think these are slightly more stylish looking in my opinion than the Redmi AirDots, in terms of the battery case being again just smaller, easier to tuck away into a pocket, and having a more pill-like shape that makes it slightly more symmetrical and completely round. Here are Apple AirPods, which you can see have a battery case that is similar. I would say that the Haylous are a little bit tinier when you are considering the volume, so these are very small, and next to some standard quarters, you can see again it is a very small and compact design. Here's a side-by-side view between the GT1s and the Redmi AirDots, just for comparison's sake. Also slightly more modern and stylish in my opinion than the Redmi AirDots. Everything is touch sensitive on the surface, which makes it pretty easy to tap. There's also an LED light that flashes to indicate once it's been registered as a tap, so pretty intuitive. There are no kind of additional wings or tips on the outside, so these are going to be quite compact, not really as secure as, say, the Power Beats, but still is good enough for walking around and just casual music listening purposes. Moving into audio quality and performance, I'd say that the GT1 sound cleaner than the Redmi AirDots, so it definitely is an improvement. On tracks which are acoustic or instrumental, orchestral, you'll be able to hear more details on these, especially in the mids, when compared to the Redmi AirDots, which in contrast are a little bit more muffled sounding. There's still a tiny amount of white noise if you strain your ears and listen super closely, so it's not free from a slight hiss in the background, but it's very faint, and it's also more quiet than what I found on the Redmi AirDots. Bass is also quite good as far as these small in-ear headphones are concerned. They're not going to be earth-shattering, and they're not the heaviest in terms of giving you the most punch out of all the pairs of TWS buds that we've seen. As a result, you can still enjoy the mids as well as the trebles on these without any problems. It's still more than sufficient and gives you a little bit of a punch as those notes are hit. So if you're wearing them for longer periods of time, they're also going to be quite comfortable, despite not having active noise cancellation per se. Now, as far as the Realtek chip is concerned, it's decent, but again, don't expect the fastest or lowest latency in the world. So if you're watching back, say, a Netflix film, occasionally you can still get moments of videos and the audio being slightly out of sync, but just for pure audio listening to just music, I think that it's going to be quite good. The left and right sides at least are connected pretty well, so it's quite stable in that regard. And you can long hold to bring up the virtual assistant. You can also double tap to do things like skip tracks and answer phone calls. However, you aren't able to raise the volume higher or lower. So for volume adjustment, just like with the Redmi AirDots and the AirPods, you still have to turn over to your phone to control that. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Haylou GT1. Overall, again, this is an improved, in my opinion, version of the Redmi AirDots. They're cheaper, but they're also better in terms of giving you slightly cleaner sound. Still has a good amount of bass as far as really small buds are concerned. They fit in very well, they're comfortable, the touch controls are sensitive, and they have a pretty clean overall aesthetic. For a low price, I don't think you'll be disappointed. They are cheap, but also surprisingly stable and solid in terms of the performance for audio quality. That's been the Haylou GT1. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews, and you can find out more details if interested in the links down below.